Hey folks, get ready to use a few HTML elements to put together a pretty dynamic web page. Whenever you're learning HTML and CSS, it always makes sense to start with HTML first, because HTML is a language that gets content on a page, while CSS is what decorates that content. So this is our starter code. And one thing to note before we jump into coding is that an HTML file is really structured like a bunch of containers that have subcontainers inside them. And the two main containers in any HTML file are going to be the head, and you'll notice that when I clicked it, it highlighted where it starts and where it ends, and the body. The difference between them is that inside the head is where you're going to have information about the page, like what character set you're using, if it's linked to any style sheet, and this is great for functionality, but it's not going to be visible to the user. And that's why we're going to spend most of our time inside the body of the page, because this is where we place content that we want to be visible to the user. With that said and done, we can go ahead and just delete this script tag inside the body, because we will not be doing any JavaScript in this unit. And I got this hello world here. Let's run the code to see how it renders. If you run it, I'll always tell you to open it in a new tab, because you don't want to look at a web page in this tiny little screen. So I'll go ahead and open it in a new tab. We see the same hello world, small text, nothing too exciting, but we're going to turn that around. So let's head back here, minimize this white space. And this is where we're going to write our first line of code. So go ahead and delete it. If you just backspace all the way to the end of this body tag and press enter, you'll notice that it automatically indents you. And this is really important for the structure of the HTML page, because we want to be nested inside the body. It means we just want to be placed inside the body, just like these elements are nested inside the head. Okay, now that we're here, let's create our first HTML element, and we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a heading on our web page, and we want the heading to say the name of the restaurant. To create an element, it is three things that you gotta put together. The first is your opening tag, so we'll start with a less than symbol, or we'll just say it's an open caret, H1 close caret. There goes my opening tag. The second part of the element is your closing tag, open caret slash H1 close caret. And the last part is the content that you want in between those two tags. Now, I'm big on French fries, so I will create a restaurant and I will call it Bubba's Fries. Feel free to create your own restaurant as you're coding along with me. Now, we don't need to run it again. We go here and we refresh the page. And boom, Bubba's Fries, big bold text, and that is because we put it in between H1 tags, and the H stands for heading. Now, what other headings are available to us in HTML? This is a great time to look at documentation. My favorite documentation to use is W3 Schools, so I'm going to Google HTML heading W3 Schools and check it out. And I like this website because it's really easy to follow, and it has a built-in code editor that lets you try out the code. You'll see here, if I click try it yourself, I'm looking and I'm noticing that there are 6 different level headings, H1 all the way up to H6. And if we look on the right hand side, we notice that as the numbers here increase, the font size decreases. And this is great because it gives me variety. So maybe I want to put the word or the title menu options inside an H3 heading. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it, bring it back to my code, plop it down under this H1. And all I have to do from here is just delete the content and have it say whatever I want to say. So I want to say menu options. I don't want all my content to be displayed in headings. I want smaller text now to list out the different menu options. And this is where P tags are going to come in handy. So P just stands for paragraph. So to create one, we'll do the opening tag, open caret, P close caret, and then the closing tag, open caret slash P close caret. And then maybe my first menu option will be Cajun fries. Okay, beautiful. Let's go ahead, check it out. There you go. Let's inspect the page to see the code. And here, if you open up the body container, here is our H1 element with Bubba fries, our H3 with the menu options, and our P tag with Cajun fries. So this is all great. We got a bunch of text on the page, and this would be a perfect time to start adding images and also links. Let's head back to our code. And images are a rare type of element that does not have a closing tag. So to create one, we do the open caret, img, and then we put the slash, and then the closing caret. So we say that images are self-closing. Now, just this alone will not get me an image. I gotta go grab an image. So find an image of the menu item that you created. For me, that's Cajun fries. Go to images, grab any image that you want. I actually like this one, so I'm gonna click it. Always save your images locally. So open it, save your image, give it an easy name, Cajun fries. And then head back to your code, and this is where we're going to need to open this file tree up a little bit. And now we can upload it. We'll click this icon, upload the file, and then double click on the image, and there it is, our Cajun fries. Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, well, how do we use it? Well, there's an attribute or an additional piece of information that gets included whenever you create an image element, and that is the source. So we say src equals, and inside these quotes is where we're going to specify the URL or the address of the image. For us, we just have to actually type out the exact name of the image here. So it's Cajun-fries.jpeg. Let's check it out. Run the page and boom, we got a beautiful picture of Cajun fries. I like. So the last thing that we got to put together is a link. How about we add a link to our recipe page for Cajun fries? If we head back to the code and before we actually get into the link, I'm noticing that I forgot a really important attribute for my image element, and that is the alternative text attribute, which is, we do ALT for short, and then inside these quotes we're going to put what the image is, which is Cajun fries. And as you've noticed, you can still render your image without this attribute, but it's important for two reasons. One, if by any chance your image does not render, it will display whatever you put inside the alternative text, so at least folks will know what this image would have been. And the second, more important reason is that it allows screen readers to read out loud whatever is in here to folks who are visually impaired or blind, and this is a great attribute to add when you're thinking about how to become a more accessible developer. And with that said, we can jump into creating our anchor link, and we'll need to add an A tag, which is just short for anchor link. In between the opening and the closing tab, we will type out what we want to happen. So I'll just say checkout recipe here. Let's run it. And the first thing you'll notice is that it's rendering right next to the image and not on a new line, which wasn't the case with the previous elements. Let's go ahead and inspect the page. So I see that it is inside the body, and I promise you we will fix this issue. Notice that no matter how many times I click it, it takes me nowhere, and that's because I didn't really specify an address. So inside the opening tag, right after the A, we'll pass in the href attribute, which is short for hyperlink reference. And inside these quotes is where we will put the URL for the recipe page. So let's go grab a recipe page for Cajun fries. Recipe for it. Okay, I think I actually did this before. And may have used this one. Alright, so this one looks good to me. Let's grab this URL. Let's take it back here. Let's put it in between these quotes. Let's head back and refresh our page. And you'll notice that even visually it looks different. It changed color, it's underlined, and when you hover over it, the cursor changes now to this pointer. Let's just check if it works, and it does take me to my recipe page. Alright, so let's tackle this issue of having it render right next to the image and have it come up on a new line. We'll head back to our code. A good workaround is nesting it inside a p tag, since there technically is text inside here. So we'll just press space, and right before it we will add the open p tag. We will indent this anchor link to make sure it is nested inside the p tag, and we'll do the closing p tag. Nice. Alright, so let's see what happens here. And beautiful. So now I have my recipe link rendering on a new line. With just a few HTML elements, we were able to put together a web page that has headings, paragraphs, images, and links. And it's a great start, but some of y'all may be itching to just like edit it a little bit, and even I can't stand my image being this big or having them stack right on top of the other, and that's fine. We'll save that when we get to CSS and we learn how to style our page. For now though, your challenge is to go ahead and build out more content to this page add the type of cuisine, add 2 more menu items, maybe add a location and a motto, and you could use a combination of the same elements that we just learned or explore some new elements. Maybe if you're feeling spicy, you could create a list for the menu items. Or if you're feeling super spicy, you can create a table that lists the menu items on one side and the prices on the other side. But just keep focusing on practicing with HTML elements. And when you are done with the contents of your page and ready to get styling, you can meet me in the next video. And congrats on finishing your intro to HTML.